got here?
I like that jacket, man.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, no worries, of course. Excited to get going.
Absolutely. So us dudes are going to talk real quick, and then we'll bring you in, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, guys. So
what's up?
We're back, man. It's been like what?
2
weeks?
Yeah.
First Sunday.
How have we done? How have we done this? 2 weeks. I think this is the longest we've gone without doing a podcast, right?
Well, I think we've seen each other more now.
Soccer's kicking our butt.
Soccer is kicking our butt. Yesterday was wild. We had a very long day. I think we got to the fields at 9:00.
Yeah.
Didn't leave until 3:00 maybe.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Crazy stuff.
But how do you guys feel like the season's gone so far? Pretty good?
It's enjoyable, man. I think the kids are learning a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Coach Jess.
I think new coach.
We got a new coach this year for our little boy. Well, actually, we call them the big boys. They're not big though. They're only 6 and 7 year olds. Because we have littler boys than that. But yeah, I feel like Coach Jess, she's come on strong. She's this tiny little lady, but with a huge personality, and she's really. I was kind of wondering how she was going to do with these alpha boys, but I feel like she's manhandling them.
Yeah, she's commanding them, and she's doing everything she needs to do.
I really like her
for sure.
Yep. And then our little boys team.
They're so strong.
They're so good.
Undefeated
by a landslide. It's to the point where we're trying to hold off a little bit, hold back. It's weird, man, because usually with these U6 rec teams, it's supposed to be random, right? There was a couple kids. I think there's 3 kids on our team who we requested to be on the same team together, but the rest were just random players.
And the only reason we requested because their older brothers were on the same team at the same practice and to help the parents out.
Right.
So it's just
right. And these kids are just freaking ballers. So it's been fun to watch, and we're doing more with U6 practice than we've ever done in the past, learning how to pass and spread out. It's not just one big ball of kids running around. So it's fun to watch.
So you guys are being good coaches, I guess.
We're doing our best.
Yeah. Debatable.
Yeah, I think we're pretty hard on our own kids, which is good. I think
they're learning though. So I think we're coaching.
I don't think there's a practice that goes by that either McLean or Saxon don't cry. So
passion.
we're doing okay.
Going back to the passion every time.
Yeah. Anything else going on in the last 2 weeks since we've last talked?
Just life, work.
Yeah.
Staying busy.
Happy to do this pod, man. Relaxing.
All right, well, let's bring him in. So we've got Duncan Wilson coming in from
out of here, Mike.
Clemson, baby.
You see it.
National champs 2023.
This is what Duncan trying to get this year, ain't you, Duncan?
Wasn't there last year.
Nah, this is what he's trying to get this year, though.
I mean, a little back-to-back action.
Let's go. Yeah. How's it looking so far? You think you guys are gonna make it?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be a good teammate if I said we weren't gonna make it.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you guys are stacked a little bit, man. Y'all got a lot of new recruits. And then y'all got some transfers in, so
we got a good squad this year. We got a lot of depth, a lot more depth than I feel like we've had in the past couple of years. So anyone can fill in it. Anyone can step in anywhere, really.
That's exciting. Well, Duncan, we're a youth sports podcast, so we're going to get to current college play, but we want to take you back to our kids' age, 6, 7-year-old Duncan, and talk a little bit about your youth sports experience growing up. We know you're from Columbia, South Carolina. Is that true? That's where you were born?
Yes, this was born and raised Columbia, South
Carolina. So, at what point in your young youth sports career did you find soccer?
It was really early. I mean, I was always kind of a sporty kid. Like my dad played sports in high school. Both my parents went to Clemson, so like we were always at Clemson football games, any kind of baseball games. Like I was always out and about trying to do some stuff. So I started playing soccer at about 3 or 4 in the local rec league. My coach Will Thomas helping me out there, but he was I played there until I was about 9 or 10, and I switched to a club at South Carolina United.
So how did that work out growing up in Columbia, South Carolina, being a Clemson fan at that young of an age?
Well, at that age, Carolina was whooping up on Clemson mostly every year, so it did kind of suck. But I was always proud to be a Clemson Tiger. Like that was my team. The way I grew up, came home in a Clemson onesie, so like. It was never really anything too serious, just the normal rivalry banter. But
right,
meant to be.
So, at what age did you say that you started playing club?
9 years old, I switched over to the travel team.
Okay, and was that kind of the age where that club started, or could you guys have started a little bit earlier? Is that kind of like that 9-year-old age is when it was time to go?
Yeah, so South Carolina United like owns they have like the rec league program, which is what I did, and then at U8 you can switch into the club, and so that's what I chose to do at U9. So I waited one more year. I did one more year with all my boys, and I don't even know what grade I would have been at 9 years old. Like
yeah, that's interesting.
Grade, third grade, maybe.
That's interesting. I've thought about that because our kids, they're 6 and 7 years old, and same thing here. There's the club CISA. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard of CISA.
Yeah.
And so they've got the huge rec league. 5,000 kids, I think, every year are playing rec league soccer there, and then they've got obviously the club team as well. And here, our kids as young as 5, 6 years old could try out for what's called the Center of Excellence and start that program, which was great. But I've always thought about, the decision of keeping them in rec. I've got my youngest son. He's eligible, I think, to try out this spring. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I might keep him in rec one more year. So what made you stay in rec for one more year? Was it just to play with your friends and it was just a tight group, or what?
Yeah, it was like we went to school with all those guys, and like my dad was one of like the assistant coaches. So we were always it was like the same group I played like flag football with and church league basketball with. So we always kind of had a group. And then a couple of my buddies from that team, we all switched over. It was like 4 or 5 of us. We all switched over to the travel at that year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think COE, like we do COE, and that's kind of like rec, but it's like because it's in the rec league, but you play up a level.
Right.
And that's somewhat new. I think the COE is somewhat new. So I mean,
it is a really cool concept. Yeah. So basically, the way it works, just like Colby said, is like they're 5. When we first started with them, they were 5 and 6, and they were playing U8, I guess, kids. So
yeah. So they play up a league
in the rec league.
Yeah.
But it's people that want to play up, and you choose, and you got to try out, and you got to make the team and everything like that. But it's you play up in a rec league, and then once you're 9 or 10, I guess, is when you start to do the travel stuff.
The academy, it's a little bit more structured,
more junior academy. But I think it's still local travel, right?
Yeah.
It's still travel.
So I have a 9-year-old brother, or he's about to be 9 in a couple months, and this is his first like season in the development, the junior academy thing, whole setup.
That's cool. So talk about that, man. Talk about moving on up from rec to your academy. Was it an easy transition since you had 4 or 5 best friends with you and you guys were playing together, or what?
In terms of that, it was, but it was, I don't know. I was never really like any kind of special ball or anything. I was just I like playing a lot and I like to score goals. So we played like there but we decided like to do the thing where like all of my friends, like we requested to bring on the same team. So a couple like those guys that I ended up playing with until U19, like I was on the same team as them since I was, 8 years old, 7 years old. So that was kind of cool. But I don't know, until about U14, U15, probably U14 is when I started to take it like really seriously. Like I quit playing basketball and I quit playing, baseball and stuff. So that's when I kind of started to take it serious. But when I first joined, it was never really like I just loved playing. Like I liked playing soccer, but it was never really like a too serious thing for me then.
So what made you choose soccer and quit playing all other sports?
It was when I was the best at, I guess. I love the way that the game is played. Like I really like the fast pace, no stoppages like you have in like baseball or football. And I love playing sports, but I enjoy soccer. And then I never really had the feeling of like scoring a goal like I had in any other sports. So that's what kind of made me want to pursue that.
That dopamine level going up.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as a forward, was that always your position, or?
Yes, I always played striker since I was, U8. Since I came over, I've always been a number 9.
That's awesome. So moving on up, so we kind of, I don't know much about you other than what I've seen on Instagram. So I know at one point you were playing for Charlotte as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I played for Charlotte FC. So I went to Carl Newman High School in Columbia, South Carolina. So I played varsity my 8th grade year, because the private school you could play in your 8th grade year.
Nice.
So I did that, and then my 9th grade year was Charlotte FC's like inaugural season. and I joined. I got scouted at a showcase or something. Well, initially they had come in the summer and they had taken one of my teammates and they didn't take me, and that really stung me. And so I had to go back out and stick it to him. But so that fall we had like a showcase in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the coach had come to a couple games. I was like in October, I think, and they had asked me for a trial in like December. So I did like a 2-week trial, and then I was fully committed on playing high school soccer that spring, and then hopefully if I made it, like be joining Charlotte FC that summer. And then we got on a call one time when I was in class, and they asked me to join the academy like that January. So that was a big switch.
You were in class when you got the call, like at school?
Yeah, like I was in class and they texted me like, we need to hop on a Zoom call. Like we'd like to speak to you about like how your trial went and stuff. So I remember I went in my high school coach's office and took the call in there. I got out of class. It was kind of a nice feeling.
That's crazy. So like, can you tell the people like the difference in like academy and like MLS Next? Because there is a difference, right?
Yeah. So it's all technically under the same umbrella of MLS Next, but the I guess the only real difference is that the MLS academies obviously have a direct gateway to the first team in terms of MLS. So like the Charlotte FC Academy team has a Charlotte FC MLS team, which is something that like Tormenta FC, they don't have a MLS team. So they have just, I think they're USL 1 or USL Championship. I think USL 1. But the only difference is that the MLS academies have that first professional team in the Major League Soccer.
Gotcha.
So you were playing ECNL when you were playing the academy and doing these showcases. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talk about the difference of play between MLS Next and ECNL. There's a lot of kids who want to play MLS Next. They're playing ECNL. There's a lot of kids who'd rather, I think, stay locally on their ECNL team than go and stay somewhere else, with a family and play MLS Next. What do you think are the pros and cons for kids who are trying to make it to the next level, whether that's college or pro maybe? Do you think that there's a huge advantage of playing MLS Next as opposed to ECNL?
So in my opinion, I think that there's a big difference to me in terms of MLS academies and the normal MLS Next clubs. Like the MLS academies, like in terms of college scouting, like you get the name, like any coach that's like, oh, he plays for Charlotte FC or he plays for Atlanta United. Like it's obviously, it checks a box in terms of like the work ethic that it takes to get there. Like it's a big thing for college coaches is the discipline and stuff, and being in an academy, living with a family, training once or twice a day, online school. Like it directly correlates into college. And I think coaches recognize that. But in terms of MLS Next clubs and ECNL, I wouldn't say that there's too much of a difference in terms of like the thing about like CISA, it has an insane facility. Like it's 20, 30 fields, like something crazy. Yeah. And there's teams, that we played against that are normal MLS Next clubs that got, 2 average grass fields. So there's not too much difference in terms of like the facilities or anything like that. But big thing is like I always think that if you're good enough, like people will find you. So I would say for people who are like thinking about making a switch or whatever, just if the opportunity arises for something like that and that's something you're interested, that's fine. But I don't think that people need to think that they're not going to make it or something because they don't play for MLS Next.
Sure.
I like that.
So when you said you started, you quit other sports when you were 13, right? And just focused on basketball. And you said because, you feel like that's what you were best at. Do you feel like that's when you really fell in love with soccer too, or you had a real passion for it? Or what kind of drove you towards really pursuing soccer? And at what point were you like, I think I'm pretty good at this and I could see myself maybe playing college?
So I grew up in a very not soccer household. Like my grandpa played football at Notre Dame and my dad played football in high school. My mom played golf. Like no one I was the first soccer player in my family. So growing up, it was always kind of it was a fun thing for me because my dad is very passionate about, supporting me and he's passionate about sports. But so it was cool because when I first started watching soccer and learning about soccer, he was, right there doing it with me. Like he had no idea what the Premier League was or what, what the MLS was. Like he was right there watching the games with me, like learning, taking the knowledge in. And now I would say he has some decent ball knowledge now. Looking back at his growth, he's not too bad. So I would say that's a big part of it. Like my dad was, I enjoyed that connection that we had. And then, but when I first started taking it serious, it was more of like so I struggled a lot physically when I was always kind of a taller kid, but like sixth, seventh grade, like I was more on the chubby side. So I was never too, like I was slow. I wasn't like very athletic. And so that was like a struggle point for me. But about eighth grade, I grew like 9 inches in a year.
What?
So
How tall are you?
I'm 6'3" right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are you still
So-
growing?
I don't know, probably not. But I think I've maxed out. I think I've maxed out. But my eighth grade year, like I grew like 9 inches and lost 6 pounds in like 12
That's
months.
crazy.
9
So
inches?
Yeah, so I went from
Sounds painful. That's a
Yeah,
lot of
so,
growing
yeah.
pain.
I lost a lot of shin splints.
Yeah, no
For
doubt.
sure, man.
But when I was, like I said, like when I was, on the chubbier side, like I had to focus on, the more technical and tactical side of it because I wasn't able to beat guys physically. But then, so I was always pretty good at putting in the back of the net, so that was always a plus for me. But once I grew that tall and I was, skinnier, I was able to beat people physically. And then those years of like, I remember my dad taking me out to the fields, making me sit there and juggle for 30 minutes. And I was like, dude, I will never be able to juggle. I can never do this. And then looking back on it now, like those are the moments that, helped me because when I was struggling at that point, like physically, I didn't think I was going to be, I was just hoping to make the high school team one day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I grew that much. And then I kind of grew into my body a little bit more and I had all those skills that I had attained earlier. And so they all just kind of paired together.
That's nuts, man. So tell us about your senior year. How'd you become Gatorade Player of the Year? Like,
So a little bit backstory. So when I joined Charlotte FC my freshman year, I did it was like the spring semester of my freshman year of high school. And so I would leave school like every day, like 20, 30 minutes early. And I drive up to Charlotte and do all the training. And then my sophomore year, I decided to quit school. I did online school just to
Mhm.
make the travel easier. I mean, it was taxing that first semester. It was pretty taxing. And then after that, so I did U17 for 2 years, but that was by the time I was aging out of the academy, Charlotte FC didn't have the MLS Next Pro team yet.
Mm.
So that was like the 2005s were like the first wave of like right in between the MLS Next Pro and before and the academy. So like so a lot of those guys like ended up pursuing college. And so but I'm 2005, but I'm like a young birthday.
Got you.
So all those guys were going into their senior year and they were, committed by then and all do this stuff. So, but I was going into my junior year, which obviously is when recruiting opens. I got summer going into junior year. And so that really worried me about like I was scared that, losing that MLS Next, like I talked about earlier, like losing that MLS Academy tag was going to, hurt my recruiting because I didn't have really anywhere to go. But luckily I was able to commit to Clemson that summer.
That's
and
awesome.
then I went back to Cardinal Newman and played high school. And that's my junior year is when I won Gatorade Player of the Year. And then and that was awesome. Those were some of the guys that had come over with me from when I was younger. And so I had left them for 2 years and stuff, and they were a great team. They made the ECNL Final 8 2 years in a row. Like when I was gone to Charlotte, we had some good guys on that team. And so, and one of my high school coach was also a coach of the club. So we were all a tight knit group, a
Nice.
good group too. And so we won state championship. We won, and then I was able to get Gator Player of the Year along with that. And then
38 goals, right?
38 goals, yes sir.
It's insane.
That's nuts.
13 assists as well. 13 assists.
Hey,
Shout
I
out my
like that.
teammates.
That is wild. So you left Charlotte FC to come back just so you could play high school with your buddies because you had
Mhm.
already committed to Clemson. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
That's awesome. I feel like that's the dream, right? Like,
Yeah. I
you
mean, that's
do all the stuff at the beginning. You already know you made it, and you can go back and have some fun. Now, what did Clemson think about that? Did they say anything, or were they like, "Dude, go play high school"?
no. So I was just I remember talking with Coach Noonan about it, and he was just asking because there was like a halfway team that Charlotte FC was having
Mm-hmm.
between in the 1 year that the guys were aging out and they were going to play a couple friendlies and then wait for the MLS Next Pro team to come in that next year.
Mhm.
And that's what I was talking about. Like I was worried that was going to hurt my recruiting because, you know, I was not really playing games. Like I'm not playing in those academy showcases and stuff anymore. And so that's what kind of, I remember talking to Coach Newton about it, and he was just like, you know, he said the same thing. Like if you're good, people will find you. So I just kind of, you know, I did the training, and then it's not like my club was. I played club that fall, and I mean, it's not like we were anything elementary. So we had a pretty good team. So the level never really dropped too much from academy, and then I ended up. I remember I told Coach Newton that I wanted to come into Clemson early. So that's when I started here in January. So I'm a true freshman this year, but I graduated high school a semester early.
That's awesome, man. So you got the brains too, man.
A little bit. When I did online school, I was able to stack up a bunch of credits. So
that's great.
I was able to graduate early with that. So super grateful for that one.
That is really cool, man. I think that's awesome. So I have a question, you know, going back to, you know, when you were not sure if you were going to be good enough to even play high school, and your dad was dragging you out to the field and making you, sounds like, you know, pushing you to do some skills training. Was that something at the time you were like, man, did it almost rub you the wrong way, or like was it something that you knew you had to do? Like how did that vibe go? Because, you know, sometimes we have kids and, you know, if we want to bring our kids like, no, I'd rather do this, or it's not fun, or, you know, what was that like back then when you were when he was he saw something in you and he's like, you got to develop, you know, your body's going to come, but we got to develop these skills. How did you respond to that when you were a little kid like that?
There was definitely times where I was, you know, I wouldn't even get out of the car when we pulled up to the fields, but it was very much he was supportive of me, and it wasn't that he was pushing me to be a good soccer player. He was pushing me, you know, he's basically like, there's going to have stuff in your life that's going to suck. Like sometimes you're going to have to do it. Like if you want that promotion, or you want that job you're applying for, like you have to put in extra hours. You're going to have to, you know, work overtime. Like that kind of stuff happens in all walks of life. And so, but obviously when I'm, you know, 12 years old, I'm not thinking about what job I got to have, or, you know, finding, doing all that kind of stuff. So I was just wanted to watch Lego Ninjago in my room by myself.
Yeah.
So those were, but looking back on it, I mean, I wouldn't be the same player I was without those, like, you know, rainy days making me juggle till, you know, I couldn't stand up anymore.
I think that's cool, man. I think, you know, in the youth sports culture these days, there's such a divide, I think, between how a parent, because that's basically what we're here for. We're trying to figure out as parents of athletes, you know, what's too much, what's too far, you know, what's not enough. And, you know, I think when it comes down to it, as a parent, obviously you need to know your kid, but I think pushing your kid, I mean, I think if they're going to learn that from anybody, it should come from you, right?
From dad and mom.
I think from dad and mom. I think dad and mom should be the examples, not only pushing them, but also I think dad and mom should be pushing themselves in whatever they're doing as well. You know, they kind of see that. Yeah,
showing them, being a role model.
Right. So I think that's really cool. I think, you know, that's good. I think, you know, dragging your kid out. And I mean, me and Colby,
I'm already thinking
we were having this conversation. We were having this conversation yesterday before this little kid soccer game. And Colby was saying that his two boys, they're 2 years apart, and they were playing FIFA before they left for the fields. And the littler one was beating the older one, and the older one wanted to quit. And Colby's like, if you quit this, you're going to quit in life.
Yeah. It was just a FIFA game.
Right.
Nah, we're not doing that.
We're not quitting FIFA games. It's going to carry over to regular games, you know?
For sure.
And it's true. I'm the same way at my house.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not quitting. Like, if I'm beating you 38-0 in NCAA,
you gotta finish
still
this.
Playing. I think that's cool. So, any regrets not playing the other sports, or are you happy with your decision of just focusing on soccer once you turned like 13, 14 years old?
No, definitely no regrets. I mean, I love the game of soccer. I love watching soccer, paying attention to, you know, anything. Me and my dad like to watch the, you know, English Championship, like any soccer that's on, like I love it. So it's always been my passion. So there's no really regrets, but no, I wouldn't say there's any regrets now.
Yeah. Like, I know you don't have any regrets, but was it hard, like, when you went to academy, like, you're missing stuff with your friends, you're missing birthdays, you know, holidays. Like, how did that go for you mentally?
So I kind of had the two part of that. So I had my freshman sophomore year, I was playing academy, and like looking back on my freshman year, I wasn't. It's not like I would be doing much, but at the time, like missing those sleepovers at my friend's house, like sometimes it did get to me a little bit, and I struggled sometimes. And then again, especially when I came this past spring, leaving like my senior spring, like missing senior prom, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that stuff did affect me mentally, but I would definitely say like it goes back to the you want things in life. Sometimes you got to work hard for it. You got to make sacrifices, and yeah, I mean it's one of those things where I've always been willing to make sacrifice for like something that I love, which is soccer. So
that's cool. So you have, I know you said you have a 9-year-old brother. Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, so I have my 9-year-old brother, and then I have a 17-year-old brother.
Okay, so you guys are pretty close in age because you're like what, 19?
Yes, sir, 19.
Yeah. So what was that like? Having a younger brother 2 years apart. I mean, I'm sure you guys are super tight. I mean, my kids are 2 years apart. They're super tight. I don't know what they're going to be like at 17 and 19, but did you guys push each other? Does he play soccer?
Yeah, so he plays for the 2007 Eastern L team at South Carolina United. So we've always kind of had that brotherly rivalry, in the backyard. But with anything really, like, it was the same. He grew up the same way that my parents raised me with sports. Like he played all kinds of sports until he was 14, 15, and kind of switched into soccer mainly. But we're super tight. I would say my brother's my best friend. So we talk pretty much every day. So we've always kind of pushed each other in that aspect of like, oh, I want to be better than him, and he wants to be better than me. And so it's always been a healthy rivalry, I would say.
That's awesome. Cool. I don't want you to speak for him, but does he have any desires to follow your footsteps and try to get to MLS Next as well, or is he happy with the ECNL and he kind of wants to stay at home?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think he loves soccer too, but he's also, he's his own person as well. Like just because I'm at a certain place or went certain places, like he knows that doesn't mean that he has to do the same things as me. I mean, he's a lot better at soccer than me in some aspects. Like I do not have the touch that he does. So so definitely he's better than me in some of those aspects. But we're different players and we're different people. So
yeah,
that's cool.
I think that's awesome. All right, so talk a little bit. You said you committed to Clemson. I think you said your junior year. Is that correct?
Yes, so summer going to my junior year.
So talk about that, man, because obviously, like you said, you went home in a Clemson onesie. Clemson fan your whole life. Now, was there ever, there's probably other schools reaching out to you as well. Talk about that recruiting process, and did any of those other schools ever have a chance, or was it always going to be Clemson?
Yeah, so when the recruiting opened, like June 15th, going into that summer, going into junior year, I got a couple calls, a couple text messages that day, and then I got a text from Coach Noonan saying he was going to call me the next day. And so, but I mean, it was never really I tried to put it off a little bit. I tried to look at all the options, but when you don't say no to Coach Noonan. So
I got a question for just what do you think you attribute to being recruited that early, being recruited by Clemson? Is it the play in club? Is it play in school? Is it playing the MLS Next? Is it going to showcases? What got you seen? What got you? And I know you said that if you're good, then they'll find you. But if you had the choice to like go somewhere, if you're that good, like how do they find you? What are they looking for?
Oh shit! Sorry, that was a big echo in my ear. So I got the first game I remember seeing the Clemson coaches at was at a showcase, like an MLS Next Flex that we had in Maryland, and I remember seeing Coach Noonan and Coach Jonesy on the sidelines, and then they had came to see me again in Dallas, and they knew I was from Columbia, so that was definitely an in-state kid. Like it's a big, we have a big thing for here at Clemson of like the tradition of getting in-state guys, getting guys who grew up being Clemson fans. Like it's a big part of our culture here, so I feel like that's definitely helped me out. But there was never like I kind of had a different path than other people that I've talked to in terms of recruiting. Like I was kind of like I said, like if you're good enough, they'll find you kind of thing. Like I don't mean to sound like too cocky or anything, but I was never really I hadn't been too involved in the recruiting process before they had reached out.
Oh, that's awesome. It's easy for
That's
you.
great. You were on their radar from the beginning, which is cool. I think that's what, any aspiring athlete would love to have. So that's not cocky at all.
No.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for it. So
yeah, that's awesome, dude. I love that. So, talk about, as you're getting incorporated into college life, talk about, mixing up soccer and academics, what are you majoring in? How are you handling all that?
So that was part of the big reason that I came early, is that I wanted to, by freshman fall, because I mean, one of the hardest parts about being a student athlete is, balancing the time management side of school, homework, and being in season. And so that's one of the big reasons I wanted to come early, was so I could, plan out all of my, know what college was like. I mean, college gets pretty hectic sometimes, and especially in season as a student athlete, it can get a little bit overwhelming. And so I wanted to make sure that, but by the time I got here in the fall, that I was ready to go. So I'm pre-business right now, but I'm planning on going into economics.
Oh,
So
awesome.
nice.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm not too good at math. I'm not good enough at math or finance, but one of the next best thing, really.
No, that's cool. So, it sounds to me like each step of your soccer career, basically, it's just basically, hey, I'm going to play. We'll see where this takes me next. It's like short-term goals, it seems like, right? Like, I just want to make my high school team. Cool. I want to make the ECNL team. Cool. Got to MLS next. Awesome. Clemson, here we come, right? It just seems like it's just kind of short-term goals. Now, as far as soccer goes, are you thinking long-term, or are you just enjoying the moment, playing college, and just see what happens?
I mean, obviously, yeah. We have obviously I have those aspirations to be a professional soccer player, but like you said, good things take time, and I want to. I like to enjoy every moment, be in the present, and have those goals for far ahead, but not hyper focus on them.
Right. That makes sense. I think that's really great. I think that takes a lot of pressure off you too.
That was a good
for
description.
sure.
That was a good description. I like that. So you have those long-term goals, but you're not hyper focused on them. Hyper focused on the present, making sure you're staying good in the present right now. But
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
That's cool.
So the season just started. So tell us how that's going for you guys.
So it's going good. We're preseason number 1, so that comes with, and defend national champs. So it comes with definitely some pressure and some high expectations, but we don't really we like to keep our our goals and expectations within ourselves. We don't let other people put those labels on us. So we like to like I said, the same way, we take it one game at a time and see where the season takes us. But obviously we have those aspirations to go back to back and reach all the goals that we've planned out at the start of the season.
So there's a couple freshmen that came in with you. You're not the only Gatorade player, that came in. So how is that? There's a lot of top players coming into the team. How is the team meshing, and how do you see that being for you?
So I would say we have a great team culture. We have a lot of we don't really have cliques or certain groups that stick together within the team. We're all friends. We all live with each other. I have 3 other roommates. We're all good friends. And so, and our freshman classes, especially, we have guys from, all over the world. And it's been cool to see the, how quickly we've meshed into a good group of friends and outside of the field. Cause I feel like that's just as important as the relationship on the field is, building that friendship, that chemistry off the field, and being able to want to hang out with those guys outside of soccer.
What is it like having these international players? I think when it comes to college soccer, more so than probably any other American college sport, there's way more international players in soccer. So what was it like having, these kids from all over the world coming in and playing different styles probably of soccer as well? Talk about that.
So we have a long list of core values that we hold as a program, and one of those is embrace diversity. And so taking those guys we have guys from Iceland, Africa, Japan, I think every continent in the world besides Antarctica. So we got guys from everywhere. So it's nice to have. It's cool to see. Like I came in my in the spring with a transfer we got from Virginia Tech, Misa Yoshizawa. He's from Japan,
He just
and
scored
so
against Boston College.
he scored a great goal against Boston
Yeah,
College.
sick.
And so we had so when he came in, we were the only ones that came in that spring semester. And so, we hung out a lot in terms of the like acclimating to the new school and all that kind of stuff. And so it was super cool to see, like, we talk all the time about like his culture in Japan, and I have, guys on the team from Iceland, and my roommate is from Bolivia. So it's cool to see like all different types of styles and like how they play. But it's nice to see it all come together in one. Like, we all have one common goal, which is be the best soccer players we can be. And but it just goes to show the level that we have here in the team is, the coach is not just restricting to the Southeast or to just America. Like, we get the best possible players.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that's really awesome. I think getting culture there in Clemson's a good thing, right?
Definitely.
All right. Colby, you got any more questions about college?
Just how are you enjoying it? I mean, you've been here, I guess, since
January.
Since January. How are you enjoying it? Talk about that. I mean, it doesn't have to be talking about soccer.
Are you getting out and being social too?
Yeah, so like I said, like, both my parents went to school here. So it's been a cool experience for me because, like I said, we have guys on the team who, they never heard of Clemson until Coach Noonan called them. And, I grew up, like, my dog's named after a old Clemson football player. So Clemson's always been a big part of my life. We've all been coming up here for games since I was a little kid. So being here, it's kind of like, it's a cool experience. And I have a lot of friends that are outside of soccer because I'm obviously from in-state. And so I have a lot of my friends from Columbia, from high school, that come here. And it's nice. I feel like I have a good balance of, focusing in on soccer and stuff, but also, hanging out with my high school buddies outside of practice and games and weekends when I can.
That's nice. Well, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, and you tell me what you can, but like, how is Coach Noonan pushing you to become a better person and a better soccer player?
Yeah, so I would definitely say the biggest part of it is, like, obviously we train every day, we work hard in terms of the soccer aspect, but I would say mainly he wants us to be the best versions of ourselves as men, like, know how to, treat our wives, how to be a good father, be a good teammate, be good in our job as a coach, whatever we choose to do after college. And I feel like that's always kind of been the Clemson motto, like, ever since he came, was the we have a big our program is very tight with the alumni and stuff, and so it's always, the next step. Like, he makes it known that, like, we want to focus on what's happening now, but that soccer's not always going to be the main thing in our lives, and to be prepared for that adulthood in terms of as men is definitely the most important thing for him outside of soccer.
That's awesome.
Talk about social media. So, me and Colby and Mike, we all played, and that wasn't really a part of us when we were growing up or playing. Talk about social media and what Coach Noonan has to say about it to you guys as players and leaders at Clemson. And talk about what even your high school coach was saying about it. There's a lot of kids listening to this podcast right now who are aspiring, college soccer players. And, I think hearing it from somebody like you it would be a great thing. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
So Coach Noonan has a big thing that, our social media presence and stuff, like, we're, especially with NIL and stuff now, like, we have our own brand, really a personal brand of ourselves, and everything we do on social media and in person, like, it affects that, what people view us as, especially as student athletes, like, in the spotlight a little bit more. And so it's different for each person. I would say, like, I have some guys on my team who are, super big into their TikTok influencers and stuff like that, but they have, like, I don't post anything like that on TikTok or anything. Like, my Instagram is pretty low key, and so I don't have, I would say, in terms of, like, the like, posting and all that kind of stuff, like, it's really it's what you make of it. I would say. So I don't post too much. I don't really post anything outside of, like, Instagram posts about like on my TikTok or highlights on like my Snapchat or anything. I'm not too big into that, but there's some guys like a couple of my teammates who are super big on TikTok, and that's their brand is they're reaching and inspiring a bunch of younger kids, which is I think is awesome. So it really is what you make of it.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great answer. I think if you're using it for good, obviously, that's great. I think that's really cool. Talk about NIL and soccer. We always hear about it in football and baseball, especially, but you don't in basketball, of course. But soccer, obviously, it's still growing here in the United States. Talk about NIL deals in college. Is it a big thing, kind of like football or basketball, or is it still just kind of getting there?
I mean, obviously, yeah, it's not the same in college soccer as it is, for the football team or anything like that. But it's the same kind of thing I mentioned earlier. Like it kind of is what you make of it. If you're reaching out to a bunch of sponsorships and stuff, like it's great, and you probably get a lot of deals because I mean, especially at and around Clemson, like soccer team is huge in terms of the community, and so some stores and restaurants are more than happy to like give stuff out if you're reaching out and doing stuff for them. But yeah, like I said, like it really is what you make of it. It's not too much of a like, oh, you're a Clemson soccer player, you get this NIL deal, this NIL deal. It's based on how much.
Oh, sorry. I interrupted you.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Is there do you guys as a soccer team have like an NIL advisor that helps you out?
Yeah, so we have the athletic department has Bridget is our NIL advisor, and she's awesome. We have a couple meetings a season about like how to approach the NIL in terms of reaching out and like how to promote your own brand. And she's been great with it. She's super knowledgeable, a lot more knowledgeable than I am about it.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of daunting, I'm sure, but that's really cool that they give you somebody like that to help you all out. Mm-hmm. You guys want to get to rapid fire questions?
Rapid fire.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, Duncan, this is the part of the podcast where we just ask you random questions and you just spit them right back to us.
All right.
I want to know your favorite soccer team.
Chelsea.
Nice.
I want to know who your favorite team is to play with on FIFA.
Ooh. I would say I like skill moves. I would say Real Madrid. Vinicius Jr. is really good at skill moves in FIFA.
Who's your soccer celebrity person you'd want to meet one day?
Ibrahimovic.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Nice.
That's dope.
Okay.
All right, top 5-a-side team.
Ooh, top 5, including goalie?
Yeah. Give me a goalie.
All time?
Yeah, all time. Your favorite.
I would say Buffon would be my goalie.
Nice.
And then I would go with Sergio Ramos and I would say Sergio Ramos and Dani Alves. My 2 defenders are there.
Okay, I like that.
I'd go with Iniesta, center mid. I'd go with Ibrahimovic up top, and I would go with. Oh wait,
that's 5.
I'm forgetting. I'm excluding Messi and Ronaldo because that I can't include them both in the team. That would be.
But I like that.
That team would be too overpowered. But I would say Ibrahimovic, Iniesta, and then I'd throw in Eden Hazard in there.
Nice. Heck yeah.
All right. If you struck up an awesome NIL deal with a brand, what brand would you want it to be?
I would say I love these. They're like a salt packet thing, and they're Elements. It's spelled Elements.
We sell them here at my clinic. Yeah,
I love them. They're so good, and I love the
flavor.
They taste awesome, and I love like the what they're promoting in terms of like the sodium intake and stuff. I think it's super important. It always helps me a lot. I struggle with hydration sometimes, so that's always a big help for me.
That's awesome. What's your flavor?
I actually have some in my drawer right here. Let me see. I would say the grapefruit is my favorite one.
Grapefruit's bomb. All right.
A good one.
What's your favorite formation?
Classic 4-3-3. I mean, you can kind of make whatever you want out of 4-3-3. I feel like you can go with triangle in the midfield, flip it upside down, play with false 9, inverted wingers. You can really do whatever with it. It's very versatile.
Nice.
I like it.
What's your favorite boot to play in?
Mercurials. I would say my feet have always been pretty like long and skinny, so the Mercurials always fit me well. But when I was at Charlotte, we had to wear Adidas, So the Speed Flows were my go-to when I had to wear
nice.
Adidas, but I like
Got
Mercurials a little bit more.
When you were playing MLS Next, what was your favorite stadium that you got to play in?
Favorite stadium. So I'd say the best facility we went was the Inter Miami facility, because it's like their academy fields are like here, and then their stadium is right next to it.
That's
So,
cool.
like,
No, that's
we
dope.
had David Beckham was at the game. Like that was pretty sweet.
Oh,
So
that's
that being at
awesome.
that facility and stuff was cool. Fort Lauderdale's
Yeah.
a nice part of Florida.
Awesome. Get away from soccer for a second. All right, you go back home, and you can either choose your favorite home cooked meal or your favorite restaurant to eat whenever you go back home.
My
mom is a fantastic cook, and I would say she makes this thing called chicken bog, which is like chicken, rice, sausage, and butter, and like a mix all up. It's amazing. I'll eat that every time I go home. It's so good.
That's awesome. Dang, I just went blank.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
It's a little bit deeper than a rapid fire question. Sorry. You talked about how you were a chubby kid growing up, and you just said that you're all about element. You knew a little bit about sodium hydration. So it sounds like nutrition is important in your life. At what point as a teenager did you start taking your nutrition seriously?
It was more of like once I kind of got to MLS Academy, and at that, once you get to that level, like, and college the same way, like everyone is good. Everyone has talent. Everyone can score. Everyone can pass. It's like the technical and tactical level is always there. And I feel like there's marginal advantages of, like if I get 1% better by eating better, then, I'm 1% better than the guy who I'm trying to beat out for a spot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say that's when I kind of like, I wouldn't say I'm too like crazy. I don't like count my calories or anything like that, but I know I was kind of watch what I put in my body. I need to hydrate myself, eat at the right time of day, time it out well before games, that kind of stuff. So those marginal advantages, I would say, is when I kind of started focusing on those.
I got one more question as far as nutrition. Do you have like a team nutritionist at Clemson?
Yes. So our team nutritionist, his name is Stacy, and she is awesome. She's the best. She always hooks us up with good, like pregame snacks, and we have our lounge stacked up with protein shakes, all that kind of stuff. So she helps us out a lot in terms of the knowledge of, like every person's different, but there's always kind of that baseline of, you want to, like eat 3 hours before a game, or, take in a certain amount of carbs after training's done, like that kind of stuff. But she's also very good at like the individualism of it. Like each person, like I hydrate differently than someone else does. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Got you.
I love that.
Cool. That's really cool.
All right, I'm ready, man. What's one piece of advice that you would give a young kid that's chasing their dream in sports?
Ooh, that's a deep one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say just be the best version of yourself. It's always kind of there's lessons in everything. Like playing soccer has always taught me, how to work as a team, how to be coachable, that kind of stuff. And all that, I mean, all of that translates into the real world, like after college is done, or after, your professional career is done, or after high school is done. So I would say, take the lessons, like that's what I'm saying. Like, don't like hyper focus on it. Don't hyper focus on the future too much. Like take in the moment, enjoy it, and take the lessons along the way.
Yeah, I think that's great. I kind of want to deviate again from rapid fire because I'm thinking of more stuff now. If you got a little bit more time, sports has changed so much in the last 10 years, and even our kids are, they're 6, 7 years old, and they're getting technical training on the side outside of soccer practice and their team. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different sports that are doing that, right? Basketball, hockey, baseball. There's so much side training going on. How important do you think that is as a young child getting technical training on the side? Do you think that it is good for them? Do you think what talk about that?
I would say it was super important with me when I was younger, like building those technical skills. But I also, I enjoyed going out there and doing finishing training and doing stuff with a coach, like doing technical dribbling and that kind of stuff. And I think it just depends. Like some people are wired differently. Like I know some great players who, they didn't like to do that kind of stuff out of practice because they like to put out every single bit of their effort into practice in that day. And they're awesome players. I would say it's the same kind of same kind of like it's individualism of it. It's
Right.
if it works for you, it works. If it doesn't mean that you're any worse or any better than someone who does or doesn't do it as well.
I think that's a great
That's
answer.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Good. I'm good over here.
Okay, I've got one more question. If you had one piece of advice for youth athletes' parents, right? So parents, if you had one piece of advice for parents of young athletes, what would it be?
I would say so. My parents, my dad especially, were always super big into, they were wanting me to push myself and obviously strive, like have high expectations, or not high expectations, but have high goals for myself. If it was at that age, of make the high school team, or like, and I remember sitting down with my parents, writing down goals for myself and having that motivational part. But also, like if I had come to my parents my sophomore year of high school and I was like, hey, like, I don't think this is for me anymore. I 100% know that they would have been there with me every step of the way and wanted me to, find something else to pursue myself in. But I would say one advice is to just, oh, did these just die? Can you start?
No, you're good. You're good.
No, you're good.
All right. I would
We
say
can hear
that. Okay, sorry. These things like we're tweaking out on me. I would say that the support is definitely the biggest part. Like there's times, where I was, like I said earlier, like mentally when I was coming back from those trainings in Charlotte, driving home 2 hours every day. I remember those long talks with my dad about, what I wanted to do with myself, what I wanted to get out of soccer. And, he always wants me to push myself to strive for the best possible version of myself. But it was never something where he wanted it for himself. You know what I mean? Like he wanted me to succeed, but me succeeding had no effect on, what he wanted to do with himself. Like if I didn't succeed, obviously it would hurt him because he wants me to be the best version of myself. But it wasn't like he wasn't, it's like the cliche movie where like, the dad is living his high school sports out, his dreams through his son. Like my dad has never been like that to me. And that's always been a huge motivational piece and always helped me a lot. So I would say that I was definitely like be there supportively, but not, everyone has their limits, like especially parents, especially like, what your kids can and can't do. Like I wouldn't say push them through you. I would say.
That's awesome.
I think that's a great piece of advice. I love that.
Me too.
All right, Mike, you got anything else you want to say?
Nah, man, just give us your social media and
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my @ right there, Duncan_Wilson 9 on Instagram.
Perfect. All
Love
right,
that.
Colby, anything else you want to say?
Go win that natty again.
Yeah,
bro.
we're gonna come to a game.
We're definitely coming to a game. We're gonna cheer you guys on.
Let the boys meet you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, hey, be in touch, and thanks so much for taking your time on a Sunday afternoon, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you guys reaching out. It's
All right.
something I haven't really done before, so I was super excited to get to do it. So I
Awesome, man.
appreciate you guys for asking me to do it.
Good luck
Yeah.
on the rest of the
Yeah,
season.
thanks, dude.
Thank you
All
guys. Go
Y'all
Tigers.
heard it here.
Sideline talk.